So where did we leave? How are you? Alhamdulillah, I'm good. How many days is someone considered a traveler and can shorten their prayers? Okay, so there is khilaf between the scholars on what this is and how a person is considered a traveler. Firstly, it's important to define what a traveler is. A traveler is someone who travels outside of a radius. So most scholars, they'll say it's about 70 kilometers. 70 kilometers, I think, is about 55 miles. So if you are traveling outside of this 55-mile radius, you have a choice. When you're within that radius, you can you can combine, but you cannot shorten, meaning that if my intention is to travel, to go somewhere, I'm allowed to combine my prayers. I can combine Dhuhr and Asr at Dhuhr time. I can't delay them, right? Because I'm still considered within at home. Or I can combine Maghrib and Isha at Maghrib time. And this is when I'm intending to travel or I'm planning to travel. But I am not in any situation allowed to shorten those prayers. I have to pray full prayers. The moment I go outside of that radius, then I'm allowed to shorten and combine at either salah times. So if I am traveling to, what is farther than 55 miles? What's a good example? Philadelphia. Ahsan, jazakallah khair. Right, if I'm traveling to Philadelphia, for example, when I get to Philadelphia, at that point, I'm allowed to shorten, I can combine, and I can combine at either prayer time, meaning that I can either do what's called Jama' Taqdeem or Jama' Ta'khir, meaning that I can either combine and shorten at Dhuhr time, or I can combine and shorten at Asr time. For the traveler, basically what happens is the prayer windows, they become larger. And then the same thing for Maghrib or Isha. Either I can pray Maghrib and Isha at Maghrib time, or I can delay it to Isha time, and I can combine both at those times. And the prayers that are shortened are only Dhuhr, Asr, and Isha. All Fajr and Maghrib, they stay the way that they are. Fajr is 2 rak'ah, and Maghrib is 3 rak'ah. How long can I continue doing that? And this is where you have khilaf between the scholars. Most of the scholars say that you can continue doing that for 3 days, meaning that the moment that I reach Philadelphia, from that point on, I can continue combining my prayers. Like if I stay there, I stay in Philadelphia for 3 days. On the 4th day, I will start making my prayers full, and I will be making them within their times because I'm no longer considered a traveler. I'm now considered a muqim. Some of the scholars, they allow 4 days. Some scholars, the Lahiriyah specifically, they say as long as you are considering yourself a traveler, you will continue to combine and shorten. And I think most of the scholars, they made it 3 and 4 days, min bab ihtiyat, because, out of caution, because prayer is a obligation and they want to make sure that people are fulfilling their obligations. And Allah knows best. Another question that is usually related to this, and sometimes I get this from college kids. Okay, well, what if I'm going to school in Philadelphia or New York or places that are outside of that, and I come home here? I said, well, now you have 2 homes. Right now you have 2 homes. So and this can be with anyone. So sometimes some of us we have summer homes, or some of us we might have winter homes. And those who don't, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all homes in Jannah, ameen. So if you have multiple homes or multiple domiciles, I know that some brothers, like they own property in like Morocco or in Somalia or in Pakistan or wherever, those would be considered our second home, meaning that the moment I land in that space, I am now home again. And I have to start my full prayers from the first day. I'm not traveling. On the plane, I'm okay. But the moment I land, I have to make full and complete prayers. Is it possible? So, for example, if I'm in Philadelphia and I leave before Dhuhr time and I arrive in Falls Church after Asr, right? Sometimes it can happen. It is completely fine for me to combine, but I cannot shorten, right? I can combine, but I cannot shorten. That is the only situation where I can combine the prayers at the later time, is when I'm coming back and I arrive at the later time. There's no problem with that. So how do I determine, like for example, if I'm in Philadelphia and Falls Church, what my radius is? Well, now the radius is doubled, right? So it's 55 miles around Philadelphia, and it's going to be 55 miles around Falls Church. So you only have a very small window where you would not be considered a traveler. Yani, for example, if I went to school there and I was living on campus. So having multiple domiciles or multiple homes, this is not an issue. It just needs to be considered that you are not going to be a state of traveling. So if somebody is going to school in California, it doesn't mean that they're a traveler the entire 4 years that they're going to school there. As long as they live there, they're going to be considered muqim. They'll be considered a resident of that place. تفضل. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. For the first three, yeah, and then the last two they would complete. تفضل. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. So even if I intend to travel and I'm leaving in like an hour, I'm going to catch a plane, whatever the case might be, it's okay for me to do what? Combine, but I cannot shorten. Yeah, yeah, I can combine at home. Yeah, 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 I can combine at home. It's the same thing when I'm coming back, right? So if I land, if I'm traveling from somewhere, I leave from Asr time and I arrive at Isha time, what can I do? I can actually wait until I come home to pray Maghrib and Isha, and there's no sin. There's not a problem, inshallah. Commuting. Commuting is a good question. So there are some brothers I know who travel maybe an hour and a half to go to work. As long as they're outside the radius, they would not be sinful if they did shorten and if they did combine. The reasons for combining are a lot more. I had brothers when I was in New Jersey who traveled from parts of Long Island, and they would come back to New Jersey, and it would take them, even though the distances are small, right? So I don't know if any of you have had the opportunity to live in New York and New Jersey. The distances are small, but the travel times are. The travel times are long, right? It takes time because the trains are stopping at every stop, and it's not realistic for a person to get off the train, to go pray and then wait half an hour to get back on the train. And many times there isn't room on the train itself to pray. So what did these individuals do? It was okay for them to combine, but not to shorten, again, because they weren't outside of those distances. So the reasons for combining are it's very open. It's actually very open-ended. It's much looser and much stricter than it is to shorten the prayers. I know there are a number of scholars, for example, who have said that if a person has a very long exam, right, they have a very long exam that's spanning 2 prayer times, it's okay for him to actually do Jama Taqdeem, that he can actually combine his Dhuhr and Asr prayer in order for him to take that entire exam. Other situations, like even at the masjid, sometimes what happens when it's raining, we combine the prayers. Even though people can very easily pray their prayers at home, but it's in bab al-taysir, right? It's the idea is to make it easy. Yeah. No. Yeah. So this is a different situation. What the brother had mentioned, he's like, okay, well, what if I'm outside, right? And I think this is an inhibition that some of us have, is like, okay, well, I'm outside. How am I going to pray? And I've had brothers ask me this before. It's like, okay, well, can I combine when I'm outside? Well, it depends, right? It depends. Am I outside stuck in traffic? Or am I outside where I can still pull over somewhere into a parking lot? If I can pull over into a parking lot, then I am obligated to pray. I don't, and I'm looking for, and I have yet to find any statistics where people are attacked because they're praying. Yes. When you delay it, when you're coming back. Yeah. It's okay. You can. This is going to be. You're going to delay it when you come back because you're traveling, so you're excused. Oh, do you have to make a special intention? No. It's because for you, you're actually praying on time because the window for the traveler has been opened up. So you're not doing qada. If that's what the question is, you're not making up a prayer. Because there's a difference between qada and ada, right? Ada is making it within its time, and making it within its time means the time that is for me, right? Because we all have individual times. Some people are traveling, some people are not. Qada is if I missed it. Yeah, for an excuse. Over here, there's a rukhsa, so it's actually going to be ada. There's a concession that's in place for the traveler. That's not for other people. So you'd be making it on time, inshallah. But we'll stop there, inshallah. And I guess we can continue the conversation next week. Wallahu a'lam wa sallallahu ala khayri khalqi nabina Muhammad wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.